Hi lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge. This is based on Little Red Riding Hood, but it definitely deviates enough to be its own thing. And the story is thoroughly creepy, in case you're wondering. It's still got a little bit of romance in here, and it's definitely more of like the horror-esque fairy tales. This is a standalone novel, despite how similar it looks to Cruel Beauty. They're both standalones in their own little worlds. So the story is set in this world that is kind of similar to like 17th, 18th century France, but it's definitely its own unique thing. So we have this world which has this forest surrounding it, which is evil, and in it lurks these beasts called Forestborn and these other creatures that swear allegiance to this thing called the Devourer. And if the Devourer ever comes back, he's going to take away the sun and the moon, and it'll just be darkness all the time, and the evil creatures in the forest will have free reign over everything, and it would just not be good at all. Like, everything would either become like these beasts or die. So Rachelle has been apprenticed to this witch, her aunt, and she's been learning to protect the village from the dark magic and the creatures that live in the forest. But one day when she's 15, she encounters one of the Forestborn, and he marks her, and she now has a choice to either kill somebody within the next 3 days or die from the mark that he left on her. So she reluctantly ends up killing and becomes one of the creatures of the forest, this thing called a Bloodbound. Like I said, it's kind of loosely based on Little Red Riding Hood. We have her going through the forest and straying from the path and encountering this wolf-like creature, and her aunt is kind of the grandmother, so it kind of starts off with Little Red Riding Hood, but then it becomes its own thing. Like, the rest of the book takes place 3 years later. Rachelle has pledged allegiance to the king. She's now one of the army bodyguards, and basically she spends most of her time using her abilities that she's gained by becoming one of the Bloodbound to hunt the other things from the forest and protect the people. One day she's ordered to protect the king's son, Armand, who she doesn't really like, and she finds being a bodyguard pretty arduous. She also has these two conflicting things happening within her, where she still has this human side to her where she wants to save and protect the people, but she can also hear the forest calling her, and hears these darker thoughts, and she knows that one day she could become a much darker thing than she already is. In the story, we see a lot of the wealth and extravagance of the palace as she becomes the bodyguard, and how the nobility live versus how she was living in her small village, and kind of her motivating factor is just trying to save the kingdom, save the people in it, and protect them, and figure out a way to defeat the Devourer, so that endless night never comes. It's definitely got a lot of twists in this story and revelations about characters that I didn't necessarily see coming, but they still felt right. Like, they were never so out of the blue that you're like, hey, that couldn't happen. You're like, oh, I just missed some clues or something. So it's kind of cool not to know what's happening, like what's gonna happen next, and it definitely feels dark with these creatures and the thoughts she has. So Rachelle's character, who's a lot more reserved, she doesn't feel like she's human anymore. The humans don't view her the same, so she feels a distance from them, but then she doesn't quite feel like she's the other Bloodborn or forest creatures either. So it's cool to have this character who's kind of an outsider, I guess. Just like the whole way that she approaches things and thinks things through, and because she grew up apprenticing to her aunt, she knows magic. Folklore of her world weaves within this story also, as she tries to figure out a way to defeat the Devourer. There is kind of a love triangle in here between her, the prince, and the head of the guards. So for most of this book, that love triangle, you don't really know who to trust. They're the main characters are all kind of hiding their secrets. So it makes an interesting, like, romance where she definitely feels this attraction and connections with the two guys, the prince and the head of the guards, but like still not exactly sure through most of this book like who I actually wanted her to end up with. I like those kind of love triangles more. Like there's drama in here, but it's not like a whole lot of relationship drama. Most of it's the like fighting the evil forces thing, which is more enjoyable, I guess. I don't like a lot of angsty, well, does he love me, does he not stuff. There's a little bit of that in here, but not like, it's not the main thing. Basically, I really loved this world. I love the way that Rosamund Hodge writes and the way she describes things. It's a bit hard at the beginning trying to keep track. Like, there's a lot of world building at the beginning, which happens a bit fast. I had that same problem with Pearl Beauty, but I kind of just go with it and things start getting explained again. So if you didn't catch it the first time, like the second or third time it's explained, you're like, oh, okay, that's what's happening. I enjoyed it. It's fantastic and imaginative and wonderful, and still very creepy and dark, and feels very much like they're in danger the entire time. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. You guys should totally check out Crimson Bound by Rosamund Hodge if you like fairy tales or slightly creepy stories or Little Red Riding Hood. Yeah. So, peace out. I love you guys and keep reading. Bye.